you know, we don't need to be zombie. Okay. Hi, everybody. Welcome to Life After Television. I am here with the enormously talented Laura Fravel of Speak and Inspire. Before we got on, we were talking about how long we've known each other. Um, we can't figure out if we knew each other and worked together when we were at Discovery, National Geographic, or later on. But actually, I think this is a wonderful lesson for people to understand about television is everybody kind of knows everybody. It's a very small network. It's a very kind of very close-knit group, and we come into contact with each other. So this is a really good example. Laura, good to see you.
Thank you. It's great to be here with you, Shannon.
Wonderful. So let's give the audience just a little bit of background about your experience and your start in television.
My start in television, I started at National Geographic. So, well, I had a very small kind of logging tapes. This was quite a long time ago. Uh, dating myself as kind of an assistant, but my kind of first full-time job in TV was at National Geographic, and I was doing research. And I slowly worked my way up from there to,
Yeah, we all start somewhere. My first job was doing cut the clocks on the midnight shift. So I totally, again, dating, I get that. I totally get that. So talk a little bit more about your path through.
so I worked at National Geographic for quite a few years on staff, working kind of on the more the network side, doing largely just research and working with executive producers to slowly help rewrite portions of the shows, especially commissions or co-productions, and eventually made my way to doing a lot of development work then for television, which then led to basically producing eventually.
And
So
then and then you were producing and then you moved into network development, right? After that?
I was producing as well as doing network development as well as the production side development. At that point I was contracting and I would fill in the gaps wherever the work was needed.
I think I remember at Discover, I used to call it Dance Monkey. It was like just
Oh,
fill in. If
yep.
someone needed you, this is what you did. I remember I was executive producer on some things. I supported development. I was producing and assisting groups kind of all over the place.
And it was nice. I had a community, like you said, the communities in that world of documentary factual television is they're like family. They're such good friends to this day, great people. So yes, I had a community in the network side as well as the production side. And uh, it was great to have a niche in development because when there wasn't a production going on, for 1 to 2 months, 3 months, I could do the development work, which was shorter term. So it was a nice balance.
What would you say were some of the skill sets you just mentioned, kind of jumping back and forth? What was the skill set or skill sets that allowed you to kind of float in between production and development, would you say?
Storytelling, a big one.
Hmm.
I think that was the biggest, and I think that's what I think I was most sought after for was the storytelling aspect. Um, yeah, and I mean, so, just having uh, being able to dig into a topic, know what was logistically possible. So having the production side of things, when I pitch something, I'd be able to flag it, I think, more easily, having been on the production side, knowing what was possible, what was impossible. And not totally pitching something that was out of the ballpark of budget and logistics. And I think also just the interviewing skills, being able to connect with people, know who would make a good character, why, that sort of thing,
I
helping pull out their story.
I think, when I know when I talk to people who aren't in television, one thing that they're surprised by is first the amount of research that we typically do. We do a lot of research. I just finished up a project on Yellowstone, and someone asked me, so what did you get your degree in? Biology, natural sciences? And I'm like, I have an art degree. No, I just, I did the research and know how to talk about it. And then the other thing is just building relationships with people, knowing how to build those relationships and build that trust.
I think that is one of the biggest skills that helps me now in what I do.
Mhm.
It's
So
being able
let's talk about that. Tell me about
yeah.
what you're doing now. Let's hear about it. Yeah.
So there, that led more into working with brands and spokespeople for brands and their, content marketing videos, uh, which led into a lot of media training as well, which led me eventually to where I am now, which is really helping executives, leaders of companies, and their teams be able to articulate their narrative. What's that story they're telling the world, and be able to share it in a way that really resonates and engages with an audience that, um, whether it be externally speaking on stages or to media and on TV shows or TV interviews, or whether it be internally to motivate teams to gain buy-in from stakeholders. Um, that voice, I think, of a company is it's super powerful. I think these are people, and a lot of people I work with are very purpose-driven, good hearts.
Hmm.
They've reached a certain point in their career where they want to be more impactful in what they do. And here they are in this incredible position of influence, whether it be a VP, senior VP, head of a company, and they've never been trained in how to speak to large groups of people, whether it be your employees or externally to your industry. They're being asked to speak on stages and panels. So that's what I love doing, is kind of coming back to what you said, that ability to connect with someone, bring out that deeper story and impact they want to have, and help them share it with the world.
It's, I think it's incredible because it sounds like, you haven't changed careers. You haven't changed the skill set that you have. You,
No,
not at all.
I feel like I'm doing exactly what I used to do, helping people find their voice, how they can make the greatest impact and influence in this world, and helping them really share that voice in a way that moves people, engages people, that
And
creates innovation or social good or um, yeah.
hold on, I'm gonna cut this out. Hold on. Sure. Excuse me. East Coast, East Coast allergies.
Oh no, I get it.
Yeah. Sorry for the jump cut, everybody. That was allergies. Um, I think, our career, what we've done, particularly in nonfiction, is is to find that story, is to find that incredible hook, and also find it in a way that's going to really appeal to your audience or appeal to the people that you're speaking to. What have you found with some of the executives you've worked with who know it inside out? They know that story. What's been some of the discoveries you've made in helping them redefine or retell that story with the greatest impact?
I think most executives are so busy, and no fault to them, digital advancement, the demands on our workforce these days and leaders. They've been going for so long, so many years, kind of climbing up the ranks, that they haven't stopped to pause to really say, okay, what is it? What kind of impact do I want to have? What kind of legacy do I want to leave? Or even just in this position right here, right now, how do I want to help all these employees the most? Like, what do I stand for? Who am I? And I think it's just helping people pause, asking the deeper questions, kind of like interviewing people in TV days, connecting with them, asking those deeper questions and helping surface, oh, yeah, I've always been for this all along. And now I'm in a position which I can actually create meaningful impact in that area. I'm not sure if that answered your question,
No, you
but
answered my question. You're just the first interview I've done where suddenly I have a tickle in my throat and I can't speak.
no
It's
worries.
funny. I've been good for every single one of these. And then suddenly yours, I'm actually coughing up a storm. I am so sorry.
No.
So this one, yours will have many little jump cuts,
Oh, don't worry
little
about it.
edits. I think
Makes
as a, oh, sorry. I think as a storyteller, because our career paths have been very similar, very, very similar, you know. Um, uh, and I think as a storyteller, one thing that we bring is one, how to work in chaos, how to work under extreme deadlines and a lot of pressure, you know, a lot of pressure. But I also think something that we do is we find in us a way to tell that, to find that enthusiasm about the topic. I
Yeah,
used to joke that like for a lot of things I would produce, I try to find that 14-year-old kind of energy, like they're still excited about things and really want to learn. And I think that's a skill set that really can translate to a lot of other places.
absolutely. And I think, well, a lot of it is about having curiosity.
Mhm,
So the people I love working with the people who come to me because they're doing incredible stuff. If you really stop and ask them questions and like I said, get them to dig a little deeper, they're doing incredible things in the world, even though day to day they seem like they're dealing with minutia business stuff.
mhm.
Um, and I think it's that curiosity that drove me, curiosity and a love for connecting with people that drove me back in the TV days and still drives me today.
If you could give any advice or some advice to people who, no matter where they are in the career, we know it's tough out there. We know many, you know, incredibly talented people. What's some advice you give them to kind of thinking about the job market or thinking about their career right now?
It's all in the story you tell. And that's not to be inauthentic. You still have to, that's talking about finding your authentic story. So, on one hand, I could say I went from TV producer to now executive coach and leadership development trainer. And you're
Mhm,
like, what? That's quite a pivot. Whereas to me, as we just said, I'm doing the exact same thing I used to do, using the exact same skills, just for a different audience and a different, quote unquote, pain point.
mhm,
So I think it's up to us, and it's not easy. Like I'm not trying to undermine how it is hard to find your own narrative.
mhm.
That's why people hire me. It's hard to see yourself. It's a lot easier to see in other people. But when people ask us what we do, we so often tell people of our past and our past accomplishments instead of telling the story of where we're headed and how these skills apply to what we're doing now or want to be doing now. So I think it's two part. It's what's the story you're telling yourself? Are you telling yourself, oh my gosh, it's a complete pivot? Then it's harder to convince other people of the benefit. So what's the story you're telling yourself? How can you rewrite that narrative? And now tell the world that, share with them how TV experience makes you so unique for this other thing you want to be doing or are doing.
And I want to do a shout out to the work that you do, Laura, and other people. Is I think there's some people who are, you know, our industry, we're a very confident, maybe even slightly cocky, you know, bunch. We're problem solvers, we're tough, we're warriors. But it's okay to go and get a cheerleader for yourself.
Oh
It's
gosh.
okay to go get somebody who your narrative, you've lived with it your entire life. It may seem boring to you. It may seem just kind of like pedestrian, but someone like you and people who do this, it helps, it'll help you tell your story better. It reminds you of a lot of things. So don't be afraid for people who are watching who might be like, oh, I'm not going to get somebody. Like, no, I can. No, no. It's like, no, it's okay to have a wingman. It's okay to have somebody there to help and remind you how awesome you are and help shape that story.
And it's finding that through line.
Hmm.
It's finding that, just like the editing process in TV, I like to always say is you are like a TV show, your life. You have all of these pieces. Like you go out and you film hours and hours of footage, but how much actually makes it into a, half-hour show? Is it 17 minutes? I don't even know what it
If
is these
that,
days. If that is these days,
if that.
times have changed.
Yeah.
Um, but you have to find that through line that ties it all together that's really powerful and tell that story and know where to edit everything else out. Not that you can't share it down the road or, in a larger context, but what's
But,
that one
and
line?
stories evolve, shows evolve, things
Exactly.
evolve, and that's okay. It's just still knowing what that central narrative theme is.
Yeah.
So, well, thank you, Laura, for talking to me. Can you throw out your website address or how people can find you?
Yep. It's laurafravel.com. I'm also on LinkedIn, so I'm pretty active there. So reach out. I'd love to hear from other TV people.
Perfect. Thank you. Sorry for choking in the middle. It doesn't happen frequently. And everybody, reach out, get Laura's help, follow her. She's awesome. Okay.
Way to connect, Shannon, or reconnect.
Bye.
Bye.